Welcome, all of you. Pavarino, you have the floor. Well, thank you so much, Bia, for the opportunity of again participating in another Green Rio. Bruno was here also, I believe. For us, it's always a pleasure. I'd like to greet Rebelato from Sebrae, a constant partner, Professor Clara Ingles from Embrapa, Congressman Paulo Gamimi from it's great to be able to have you in this panel, as well as Bruno Nuno is from the Ministry of Technology. I know he's anguished because he has an appointment. So we're going to try and be brief, and I'm going to ask you to please stick to your 10-minute time. I will be checking the clock, and when there are 2 minutes left, I will warn you. This is a panel. My name is Marco Pavarino. I am the coordinator of family agriculture, and we work with social biodiversity in the extractivism chains, and including communities in the bioeconomy universe. So we need technology solutions for the change. I'm not talking about wheat, corn, uh, cotton chains, because that's solved in terms of the equipment, the market, and so on. But we have products such as, for example, the acai berry that has become a commodity and that's still facing problems in terms of technology. And it is a challenge. We have been working with Embrapa, Sebrae, and the ministries to find ways to face this challenge. And each one of you will bring your suggestions on how we may overcome the challenge. I am going to share my screen with you. And the idea is to bring you. Can you signal if you can see the screen I'm sharing? Yes. So the topic is bioeconomy and social biodiversity related challenges in terms of technological solutions. First, I am going to show you the acai berry chain. This is a picture of a farmer. It's a traditional community collecting the acai berry. And you may be surprised, but the vast majority of the 1 million tons of acai berry last year, only in the state of Pará, most has been collected, harvested like this. So they wrap their feet with a palm leaf. They have a knife around the waist, go up the palm tree and collect the berry. So, and then you have very basic structure. There's a specific name for this basket. The basket is then placed on a little boat, and there is no cooling, and a lot of the material is lost because of lack of cooling facility. And then this is probably a picture of the Belém harbor. So the product reaches the harbor, and the average price, not at the harbor, but the farmers who brought it here, 351 reais per kilo of acai berry. And if we move on, then there is processing. There are 6,000 mixers, and then we take the acai wine, and then we have more sophisticated forms of acai berry, the one in the bowl. that everybody knows. And here there's no judgment of on the price. I'm not saying it's expensive or cheap, it's just the price. That's the price. So a ball of acai berry varies between 15 to 23 reais, 300 milliliters, 15. And if you want a very thick acai berry cream, you can use an app and buy 500 ml acai berry bowl for around 440 reais. So this is the acai berry chain. So we have with added banana, lyophilized, that is imported at 132 reais the bottle, as well as acai ice cream. So there's definitely imbalance in this acai berry chain, and I believe it has to do with technology issues. And this is not a judgment, or I'm not saying it's a lot or a little. This is the babasu chain. You can see breaking down the nut, still using very basic ways of cracking the nut. Well, there are some machines, there is equipment that has been developed, but the process still pretty basic. The CONAB has identified the price around in Maranhão State 741 reais per kilo and Piauí 525. So if you look at the market, you have the babaçu oil, the cheapest one, it's 51 reais per liter. So we have more sophisticated forms of oils, 211 reais per liter, and organic pure acai berry or babaçu berry, over 200 reais. Remember, it's the average is 7 in Maranhão and 5 in the state of Piauí. And the Baru chain here in the Northeast and the Midwest, which is a nut. It's a more recently discovered nut. It is a native tree in the bioma. It's still quite difficult to collect, and cattle eats some of it. You can see here the very rustic processes. Here is the nut inside the fruit. Here is the roasted baru. Here, a machine, some kind of equipment that is emerging. Here, you have a little better technology to remove the baru from the nut. And here is a man using an artisanal process, but very interesting one, which is to have a technology solution for cracking the baru nut. Also registers 39 cents per kilo. It is the fruit, not the nut, in the states of Goiás and Minas. This is an interesting chain also. This is, if you go on the internet, obviously internet prices may not be the average price, but it's difficult. It's not, it's quite expensive. You can buy the nut at 55 reais per kilo. Wow. Oh, it's maybe roasted for 923, but 923, it's 100 grams. So you have 92.30 per kilo. And if you go abroad, if you buy baru nuts, it's called the super nuts. We have 258 reais per kilo. So this clearly shows the need for us to devise technical solutions so that we confer more balance to these chains. This affects productivity, a better offer, and more stable supply of the product. How do we think in the Ministry of Agriculture? We think of hackathons, events, the Google kids that think outside the box to foster not creation of equipment, but also software for this chain. We are thinking this together with Sibrai, that we're going to hear later, and with Embrapa, who also will have a contribution. Also, we can think of prototypes that can be devised. We have to articulate with institutional partners, is like what we're doing with the Amazonas state, an agreement we have with them. And one of the points is, how do we manage to offer these technological solutions? We can't just think them from Brasilia, Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro offices. It's very important to respect the cultural aspects of these activities, but we need to think of the evolution of these products that demand, they're in higher and higher demand for quantity. So here we have institutions such as SEBRAE and BRAPA, the ministry, and obviously we have other partners to overcome these challenges, to find technology solutions, not just to add value, but also help preserving our rainforest and biodiversity. So this is more or less what I had to say, just putting these demands into context to prove that they're real, that they exist, they're out there, and look in a clear way to understand what the demands are. I gave you 3 chains. We can use any product, a lot of different Brazilian fruits and nuts, uh, chains that are related to bioeconomy, and that can give us more novelty into the solutions. Now, I'd like to hear the other members of the panel that I believe will have a lot to say on this topic. I would like to ask Bruno if he prefers to start off now, or it makes any difference. Does it make any difference to you, or are we going to follow the agenda, or do you prefer to start first? Actually, Pavarino, I prefer to start now. I have another meeting afterwards, so I'm not going to be able to stay for the debate. Yes, Bruno, bioeconomy, general coordinator of bioeconomy, is very close to this topic. So Bruno will explain how the ministry sees facing these challenges and how the ministry can give us support. I will tell you when there are 2 minutes left. Thank you so much, Pavarito. I can't see. I'm not sure if my presentation is on the screen.
Bem,
No,
então
not yet.
vou apresentar para vocês um pouco, né, de como a gente está
I am
pensando
going to tell you what the solutions we're thinking about, how we can help you in some of the challenges with what we're doing. I made a presentation yesterday. Here I'm going to give you a little institutional information. So the production of knowledge and how this can contribute to the quality of life for people, the quality of the environment itself, but also improving income, generating jobs, and so on. So we transform the knowledge, everything that is in universities and research, and how this can have an impact on society. But we also want to accelerate the process. Here is a general aspect. All the actions from the ministry are based on these documents. The National Strategy for Science and Technology, it is our guideline for ministry action until 2022, complying with the UN development goals. And there are some strategic pillars, and one of them is biomes and bioeconomy. We always stress that there's always biodiversity and bioeconomy how go hand in hand. So then we developed another document. In that document, we have a definition which is being reviewed. The other meeting I should be attending now is discussing governance, but also how we're going to redefine the concepts of bioeconomy. So, within what we have officially is a set of economic activities based on the use of sustainable biological resources to replace fossil raw materials by mass and so on, to replace fossil raw materials. When we talk about fossil, we need to talk about uh, those that are not endless, to produce materials, chemicals, fuels, and energy, the promotion of health development and sustainable and uh, the well-being of society. There are a number of strategic themes: biomass, processing biomass, and bioproducts production, and an institutional framework to support. So we have the Brazilian Bioeconomy Observatory, which we call the Knowledge Hub, as well as a body to coordinate all activities in bioeconomy. Although the bioeconomic issue in itself is relatively new, we have a vast experience of decades in bioeconomy that need to be better organized. This is a general view of what the ministry is doing in terms of bioeconomy. Here are the main actions, which the general coordination of bioeconomy is already carrying out these actions. So we have the one in yellow is for the future in 21, 22. We are working on the beginning of the chains, structuring productive system that will lead to food and water security, among other things, as well as production chains, the cost, and the circular bioeconomy. And the last one, which is where we're studying and standardizing uh, bioeconomy so that we propose to the government a policy for bioeconomy. So, including main challenges that Brazil has in bioeconomy could help solve. Here we have a program which is what you see on the screen. The program is going to be launched in the next few weeks at the end of the month. So we're going to launch this program with three projects. We have a division by bioma, that is, so we're going to act in all biomas, and we already have action in two biomas, in the Amazon and in in uh, Caatinga. And then we work with the products you see on the screen. So the objective is what Pavarino mentioned initially. We have a production for these assets for bioeconomy, these products, but the communities that live off these products don't manage to add value. So the main objective of this project is to add value, but not just that, to retain value at the community. And how are we going to do that? By developing technologies that have already been there. They're here on the shelves on our technology base existing in Brazil, everything that is developed in universities. We're going to capture these initiatives and we're going to test them in the field, validate them, and then seek partners. And we have a number of partners in this sense, and a number of government bodies for disseminating and scaling. We increase scale, we replicate in other areas. So we have a very interesting project, and which I will be showing you. Other than adding value, we also help regularization of these activities, formalizing these activities. And this is an obstacle for communities. So, and once everything is formalized, there's better access to markets. There will also be development of new products for agro biodiversity, social biodiversity, as you can see in some of the species we have shown. So we can develop, for example, for pharma, such as licorice. We also have a concern to use uh, the waste that is generated from the change. So we end up fostering the a circular bioeconomy. And we talk about sustainability, and that's not just from the environmental point of view, but also social point of view, so that it can add value to the existing production is going to be improved, and retaining not just income but also technology. Just to let you know, Bruno, you only have 2 minutes left. So how are we going to make this happen? So if you look at the biome in the Amazon, this is a sketch of what there is in the Amazon. There's so many other things, and this is done for all biomes. Here is a very specific case of the acai berry, and I will make the presentation available with other cases that we do. We started with a product on a university lab, and we have the raw acai berry, transform it in powder, and then it is a mini food factory which is already certified. And we're going to bring this to 4 communities in the Amazon: Tabatinga, Macapá, Portel, three. And the other one is going to be a model school in Florianopolis. So this is a number of technologies together. So we have PV energy. We use the seed, wasted seed to produce energy. So it is a container that you place in the forest, and it works sustainably, using very little resources other than the berry itself. So these projects will be able to be replicated. There has been interest in working with this model in other chains, not just the acai berry. This project is going to cover acai, cupuaçu, and other fruits in the Amazon and other regions. We also have the pirarucu fish. We are building a floating unit for pre-processing this fish. You see the inside of the processing unit, and it is like a slaughterhouse, but it's certified. It has the state inspection seal. It's going to work for pirarucu as well as alligator. So you have all the hygiene aspects that are guaranteed, and the kilo is 7 reais, and with certification it reaches 8 reais per kilo. And once they have the seal, you can actually charge 12 reais per kilo. So in addition to adding value, you have transferred technology to the community. And not many things are imported from other regions. So it's beneficial for the community. Here is the licorice oil. We're developing standardization for harvesting and production. And we're going to do this together with the industry for developing pharmaceutical products as well as cosmetics, and also through certification.
Então, Bruno, se puder caminhar para a conclusão aqui.
Sorry, if I may, can you wrap up? Yes, this is my last slide. This is the first round of the project with 5.6 million in the first year, and we intend to increase this to other chains, and we hope to cover the whole territory of Brazil. This is what I had to say. I'm sorry if I went over the time. Unfortunately, I won't be able to participate in the debate. I should apologize for interrupting you, but we know that we need to stick to time. Usually remote meetings really have to be so fast. If you may just stop sharing your screen. Thank you. You brought very important elements on what is being done, and we need to evolve with science and technology. How much of the acai berry stays in Amazon and the traditional communities? How much this means in terms of regional development, as we discussed yesterday? Well, go ahead. You can leave and go to your next appointment. I am going to now invite Maria Clara Innes, that deals with topics and representing Embrapa, which I think everybody knows. I will control your time, and when you have 2 minutes left, I will let you know. Go ahead, you have the floor.
Thank you. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. As Bavarini has said, I am the head of biotechnology at Embrapa, and we are a research arm, and we are working with everyone, with all of you who are attending. And unfortunately, Bruno won't be here to listen to what I'm going to say, the important points of what we are doing. So can you see my presentation? Yeah, we can see the first slide. So how does Embrapa join this discussion, and how do we link in with what was said before? We talk about genetic resources, which is used in agriculture and cattle breeding. This is important because acai for cosmetics I'm sorry to interrupt. We can still see just the first slide. I don't know if you've moved slides already.
Não, é a técnica que tem que liberar.
Técnica tem que liberar. Agora sim. Muito bom.
Então,
okay,
só dá o comando, por favor, que a gente libera aqui.
Sim, já estamos vendo.
Falando exatamente no recorte da
So we are talking about biodiversity and agribusiness, and which is what we do at Embrapa. As we have said, acai for cosmetics is not one of the products that concerns us, but acai is foodstuff, yes. So we have an important role of working with these resources. I can't move my slides.
Não está passando. Agora
Isso,
sim.
próximo. O anterior, isso. Bom, como é que a gente trabalha? O recurso genético e sociobiodiversidade, né? Nós trabalhamos com conservação.
So we work with genetic resources, and we have germoplasm banks, preservation banks, and all of this material also has a social and economic impact on the country, because it is based on these materials that we create the cultivars that are important. So there's the soybean, wheat, rice, corn chain, which has a major impact, and also in other biodiversity products like a cultivar of acai, but that has just been launched by Embrapa. So it's looking at a market niche. And so there's also in situ preservation, where the materials are kept by traditional peoples and others. So we go to the community and we work with the preservation of these resources, like acai near Marajó Island. Now, in this in situ preservation program and its impact on social diversity, we have a program of participative preservation. So we have to teach people how they're going to extract these materials, which are very important for the community, without losing their source of work. So with that, we assure food safety, and we also assure that this genetic material is not going to be lost. Many of them cannot be preserved ex situ, so it is important to keep them there. So we work with indigenous communities, especially in traditional seeds. So this means preserving their diversity, preserving this material, and often we bring part of this material to the gene bank. We have already been able to impact the Cao Indian tribe when we give the genetic materials back to them that they had lost in time. So this has shown an impact. We have managed to work with this for society, for the benefit of society. We have two examples that I'm going to mention. We have different projects in preservation, integration with communities, different researchers that are involved, but I would like to especially highlight the Butiazais route and Bendiverso. Bendiverso is a UN, UNDP funded program, and we are working with different areas in the states of Acre, Minas Gerais, Pará, Maranhão, Bahia, and Ceará, and all of these locations that are listed on the slide. So this is a very important strategy, because the researcher comes out of his lab, his comfort zone, and goes to the community and guides and monitors what is being done with this community work. We have made a lot of progress in this work. We're discussing its second phase. And now I'm going to go back to the Butiazais route, Rota dos Butiazais. This is a program that has been going on for 10 years. It covers the following Brazilian states: Rio Grande do Sul, Santa Catarina, the capital, Distrito Federal, Minas Gerais, and also Argentina and Paraguay. The results of this program have a major impact, and we are thinking of combining this with Bem Diverso. In Rota dos Butiazais, we have the participation of SEBRAE and the Ministry of Technology and Innovation, besides the Ministry of Agriculture. So many breakthroughs have been made in Biodiverso. We still need to make progress in assessing the impact for communities. So this would be a later phase. And what we can see what has been added to value in terms of value and income for the communities of the specific areas. So this is a cross-cut. You can see that we are almost present in all states except for Mato Grosso and Tocantins, with sustainable extractivism and the use of this for a positive impact in society. And of course, I'm talking about genetic resources here. You have another 2 minutes. I am about to conclude. Now, in extractivism, we managed to preserve genetic resources which are strategic for the country, because if you just extract, you'll lose diversity and you will end up with productivity problems. And if you don't have materials to put back in the field, you will have very serious problems. Now, adding value and income to Butiais is what I've mentioned, because this is a project that has had the support of SEBRAE and the Ministry of Technology, and there are many different products that have resulted, like the production of juices, spirits, sweets, bio, jewelry, handbags, and others. So we also have these other products: acai, Peiki, licorice, babasu, umbu, andiroba, araticum, and Brazil nut. These are all exotic Brazilian fruit products. So we are working in all of these niches, and this coordination with the Ministry of Trade, Technology and Industry, Agriculture, SEBRAE, and other agencies will certainly lead us to have the same economic impact as Hortadus Butiais has given us. This is all. Thank you. These programs are very encompassing, and we are available to speak more about them and also to establish other partnerships. I think that we're all working with the same wavelength, and we want to use our biodiversity in order to provoke a major impact in the market and in Brazilian biodiversity. Well, this has been an excellent presentation. I had the pleasure to visit Senagen, and what you do in terms of gene maintenance is incredible. I think every Brazilian should be proud of this. And the Rota dos Butiais is wonderful. I am sorry to publicize this so much, but they have been working with the women, and I love the handbags made in Butia. I'd just like to remind you that Carlos Nobre reminds us that Embrapa plays this important role of developing our agriculture in this country. If in the past we had thought about a similar agency for biodiversity, this would have been spectacular. But I think that you are showing us that we are on the pathway for preserving biodiversity. Bia, would you like to make any comments? Well, we will now hear our partner, Luis Rebelato, who is from SEBRAE, a very important institution to provide us support in these market rounds and other activities. Rebelato, we would love to hear you. I'll let you know when you have 2 minutes. Thank you very much, Pavarino. Good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be together with you in this process. all of this beautiful work developed by Planeta Orgânico. In my presentation, I will speak to you about two topics. One program that SEBRAE that is launching, which is Inova Amazônia, and then to go into what we have done in terms of the technology challenges and what are some of the important elements to help us overcome these challenges in bioeconomy and biodiversity. SEBRAE is the Brazilian Service of Support to Small and Micro Enterprises. We work with a very well-defined audience, which is small companies, farmers, and micro companies. And we work in all segments of the economy. So agribusiness, services, tourism. So as an institution, we have a defined audience. And in terms of sustainability and biobusiness, we have worked with the state branches of SEBRAE. The Central SEBRAE provides support to the local agencies so that states can work with their projects and demands. And there's a lot being done in organic production, bee culturing, management of natural resources, nuts, and all of the social biodiversity products. We also have partnerships with important agencies like Embrapa. We have a product called or that focuses on bio imports. So there is a diversified set of activities in the SEBRAE system providing support to sustainable development. And more specifically, I will briefly speak about this program, and then I will move to the aspects of the challenge. Inova Amazonia is oriented to small businesses, startups, and natural persons. And the business model has to be the sustainable use of Amazonian resources. We have a website that can be checked on that link, and this presentation will be sent to you or made available to you. So if you want to look at more detail, you can access this information on the website. What are the objectives of this program? The focus is to create new businesses with high added value, breakthroughs in the region's productive matrix, to add value to existing corporations, the role of information bringing about innovation in the process of adding value, attracting more investments to the region to strengthen the bioeconomy ecosystem in Amazonia with open innovation and connection between entrepreneurs of that region and others in Brazil, and also partnership with other agencies in Brazil in order to create synergies. We're here at a panel with representatives of the government and BRAPA, which is an arm of the government, SEBRAE, public policies, and the support of Congress by passing bills and laws. So this is the idea that this program also incorporates different institutions for producing actions that are synergistic. 1 + 1 is more than 2. So the idea is to work with production chain that can add value like cosmetics, the building industry, foodstuffs, fashion, art, all of the economic industries where businesses are based on the development of sustainable economy in Amazonia. This is a program with 4 steps: mapping, activation, behavioral pitches, hackathons, shared ideas, meetings, business partnerships, anchorage, and acceleration. These are terms used by startups in innovation activation. And there's also mentoring at SocioBiodiversity, the SocioBiodiversity Tech Innovation and Technology Program of SocioBiodiversity, branding, geographic indication, collective brands. The idea is working with all of the tools that we have available. And then takeoff and landing. That's the perspective of accessing new markets in Brazil and abroad. And here, just to give an idea of the schedule, we launched this program, and the tender for selecting the companies that will be worked upon will come out at the end of the month. There will be a pilot in the state of Pará, and then we will progress onto other states of Amazonia. So this is a step-by-step approach, bringing technology and innovation to these companies. Now, moving to the challenges, the challenge that we call eco-innovation. A lot has been said here about the challenges in social biodiversity from the point of view of market and others. So together with partners and within Embrapa, we have worked with UN Environment on the challenge of water. We carried out the World Water Forum in 2018. This should be a healthy competition between ideas and solutions oriented to the development of eco-innovative ideas for solving one or more problems defined by the challenge. But I'm going to speak about the steps and step by step that are stipulated by this tender and the rules. We were going to do this on an on-site basis, but because of the pandemic, we are going to hold or to do this joint work next year instead of this one, in order to identify ideas and solutions for social biodiversity and bioeconomy. So the idea is to bring facilitators and mentors to guide these participants and teams that get together in order to develop ideas or to perfect solutions, aiming at placing them in the market for solving previously defined problems. In these events, we also have an exchange of ideas with representatives, with partner institutions and investors. And the idea is that the event is not just teamwork, but it is a concentrated period of 1 or 2 or 3 days where those teams together with the proposing institutions may also take part in a process of dialogue, qualification, creating relationship networks in order to discuss specific topics of a given challenge, and then take the next steps towards this goal.
Esses 2 ou 3 dias de evento, as equipes participantes elas apresentam uma proposta que solucione um ou mais problemas relacionados com o desafio. E aí uma banca de jurados que poderá ser composta por representantes do setor privado, investidores, especialistas, vai analisar, né, com base naquele pitch que a gente chama, né, naquele momento de apresentação, o que aquela empresa trouxe de solução, qual é a relação que ela tem, qual é a viabilidade que ela se apresenta, quais são as etapas que ela já percorreu, que ela se propõe a percorrer, como que os investidores podem apoiar. Então, essa equipe de jurados, ela julga aquilo e tem alguns vencedores, né, naquelas categorias que são previamente definidas. E definidas onde? Nessas etapas, então, nessa linha final do slide, que nós temos uma primeira etapa, que seria essa elaboração e divulgação elaboração do regulamento e do edital, que vai definir o quê? Primeiro, como que vai funcionar as inscrições, né? Quem que pode participar, quais são os critérios, como que vai se dar a seleção para que essas ideias e essas startups participem do desafio, o cronograma de como que vai se dar, né, as etapas, o que eles têm que apresentar para serem selecionados para participação, como que vai, qual é o dia que vai ser o desafio, onde que vai ser, a logística, enfim, tudo é definido nesse regulamento, como que vai ser a premiação, né, se vão ser premiações em dinheiro, premiações na forma de viagem para conhecer uma iniciativa, ou mentorias presenciais ou à distância, enfim, ou equipamentos, né, como prêmios, enfim, vai depender de como a gente articula essa questão institucional. E os benefícios, né, de participar desse processo, que não é apenas ser vencedor, mas é participar de uma rede, de um momento coletivo ali de fortalecimento do processo. E também, obviamente, que se fala da realização do desafio, né? Então, qual vai ser a data, o local, como que vai se dar esse processo, tudo isso é definido nesse material que nós divulgamos com uma certa antecedência e que é elaborado por esse conjunto de instituições que estarão ou estariam promovendo esse desafio. Pode passar? Eu trouxe, então...
Devo advertir que estamos com o tempo estourado, tá?
Tá, estou só acabando.
So I'm just finishing. I'm just giving an example of the now we have well, it's not just teamwork. We have a total program with the funders, etc., and the teams. Now this is an example of how all the press and all this is shown in the press, and this is the last thing showing all the talks. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So this is these are the talks, the winners in between the startups and in the category, the winner in the category of ideas. Usually they're students, and they are either they can also be research teams from technological centers. I thank you for the opportunity of giving this talk. And these are my contact details, and we are working together with our partners facing the challenge so that we can solve problems in the social biodiversity and the bioeconomy. Thank you very much, and we are at your disposal. Thank you very much, Roberto. It was really excellent. I can see that it was, well, very, very good. Thank you, Roberto. I think it's just right for us to join up with SocioBiodiversity and take in all the expertise and the technologies. And without a doubt, next year we will physically carry out this challenge. Well, that's we've already seen the .gov side of things and SocioBiodiversity, and I think that now we really must hear Paolo Ganimi and Congressman Paolo Ganimi and how Parliament takes part within this agenda and how we can join up to place the bioeconomy where it really belongs. So we are eager to hear your words, Congressman. Thank you very much for your presence, and I think Bia joins me, and thank you, Pavarino, thank you, Bia. Good morning, Roberto. Good morning, Maria Clara, and Bruno, who's no longer here, but good morning, and to all of you who are taking part. I was very happy to be invited and to see how Green Rio is being organized, and all these initiatives that I've heard about, especially Roberto's last presentation about this. It's really good to see initiatives that promote the bioeconomy. Now I'm here representing the parliamentary front for the bioeconomy. I was represented the front in its first year, right from its founding And for those who don't know, a parliamentary front is a group of congressmen and senators who get together and who listen to each other, regardless of their regions, their parties, their political ideology, around a theme. There are different parliamentary fronts. And this is a parliamentary front that was founded last year. So it is new, it's young, and the first parliamentary front that deals with the bioeconomy. It doesn't have as its goal being the only reference or the only place where you can deal with this in Brazil. On the contrary, we know that there are bioeconomy initiatives that are already being worked on in Brazil and have been for a while. It is nothing new. In Green Rio, you can see that's an example in itself. And in the executive branch, at each ministry and in department, there are people who deal with this. So BRI and BRAPA, they talk about this, and there are various institutions that deal with the bioeconomy, but we really needed something in the National Congress. We needed people who would join effort and together round efforts, and we want to join up and work and in favor of the bioeconomy and Brazilian biodiversity. We know Brazilian biodiversity, it's the richest biodiversity, and it has great potential. And I think it's very important to deal with this topic in a responsible way and a technical way. And that is our purpose, and our objectives are to use the bioeconomy in an ethical and sustainable way. We want to represent the bioeconomy and have a place and provide a place for it within the GDP, the Brazilian GDP. And we also have the role of the circular economy, and we have a role. We have to modernize the federal legislation. That is our goal, and it's our responsibility as well. We have to modernize our legislation so we can we can actually make real all the potential that of the bioeconomy. We have a legal framework that sometimes prevents innovation, prevents people from doing research work in Brazil, and all this has an impact on the potential of the Brazilian bioeconomy. So we have to think about productivity as well and competitiveness. And very often we don't talk about things, or when we talk about the bioeconomy in the National Congress, we do not find there's a critical mass in Congress. So a few people understand and that how important it is. So that's our goal. We want to establish the industry 4.0 in Brazil, and leveraged by the economy, it can be one of the drivers of industry 4.0, and it generates jobs and work, and that's essential, especially now when we're going through an economic crisis, which is actually prior to the pandemic, but it became worse. It was aggravated because of the pandemic. I think we can make use of this moment to promote the bioeconomy even more in Brazil, and all this also associated with investment. And we need, of course, we all know what happens with regard to the legal security in Brazil. Or now we need to improve it, and the state machinery very often the state's machinery interprets legislations very differently sometimes, and I think things are not perhaps that clear. And we also we need an institutional framework that will favor Brazil's participation in this global discussion. That's also important. We also need to be a global leader in this area. Brazil is the most interested party in making in being a reference, being a benchmark, and advancing in our we have the greatest biodiversity in the world, great biopotential in world terms, and we need to have people talking about the bioeconomy in a serious way, and we need to create awareness and educate. And I think that we need to work with the academia, and we need to allow Brazilians to understand and to work in the bioeconomy. We already have a great potential, but we need to improve these different points. Now, I think this is what we need to move forward on, and these things that we're working on. I'm no longer the president of the Parliamentary Front. I'm the vice president or vice chair, and I also speak as a leader in my party and in my I'm very happy to be invited to events such as these. I thank BIA for organizing this event, for inviting me, and everything that this event represents. We tried to take part in the past, and we didn't actually manage to, but so I wanted to be very brief because I know everybody needs to move forward. I'm already late. I had another engagement at 11:30. I'm a little far away, so I'm going to be slightly late, but I did think it was very important to take part and to get this across. I'm at your disposal, both your disposal, my leader, Bia, Marco, Bruno, Luis, all of you, and also at the disposal of everyone who is attending this event, which is a great event. I will leave my contact details for those of you who want to get in touch with me. You can contact me through social networks, but my telephone was 2199 3039. So it's a public telephone. I actually pick up the call, so I'm at your disposal. If you want to take up a partnership and do something positive that's for Brazil in this area, congratulations once more for your initiatives, and Sebrae as well. You can count on us. We want to be part of this project, and thank you once again for your invitation. Have a good event right to the end. Thank you, Congressman. I think we can perhaps commit to in Embrapa and the Ministry of Science and Technology and Sebrae to propose a legislative agenda with certain initiatives. I think that it's really fundamental. I think the panel has managed to reach its objective. I think all the talks were very complimentary, and I thank Maria Clara Rebelato, Bruno, and Congressman, and I give the floor back to Bia so that we can move forward with the agenda. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you, Pavarino, Clelia, Paolo, Rebelato, Bruno. I thought your panel was excellent. I remember that when I finished my opening remarks yesterday, I said that I wanted to end up with a glimmer of hope, and I think that that's what you brought with your panel. I think you brought that idea that we have a wonderful country. Brazil is spectacular. Brazil already exists, and it's little, and that spectacular Brazil is little known. I think this challenge of technological solutions that add value and generate income, that's what we need. We need to generate revenue for small companies and cooperatives. So I wanted to get this message across to all the small cooperatives on behalf of Renata de Jesus Bachiller, who's already written many messages. She works with a Liquidi cooperative, and on behalf of Renata, I'd like to send out this message of hope to all the cooperatives and the family agricultural companies. Well, congratulations. Don't leave. There are more things coming on the agenda. There's more Brazil, and Congressman, you'll have a lot of things to take back to Congress. There are a lot of things on Brazil, this spectacular Brazil. I really would like to express my admiration to all of you. well, we'll carry on working.